So hi everyone, welcome to our first webinar in this post-COVID context. We're going to talk with you today about how can service robots help businesses address post-COVID-19 challenges. We'll be going through a variety of points that have arisen in the recent months in this difficult situation, where everyone has seen major impacts from the COVID-19 all over the industries, both economically, socially, and Sunny will be telling you a bit more about that. We're also going to look at how humanoid robots like Pepper, can help welcome visitors, customers, and support your staff while helping them stay safe. We will show you what has been done so far in the COVID-19 situation and during the lockdown. And obviously, we will have time for questions and answers to discuss what projects have been implemented. So feel free to ask all the questions that you might have in the chat. We will be selecting. Unfortunately, there is a lot of, well, fortunately, there are a lot of people. There's a lot of you today, so we might have a lot of questions in the chat.
Which is a good thing.
We'll do our best to answer most of them, to answer all these questions, but probably we will follow up on some of them after the webinar if need be.
So let's get started. Yeah, great. Yeah, just give you a little bit context about the COVID-19. As we know, this is like becoming a very serious global event. As you can see that this actually the data is updated by yesterday. So today we have more than 8 million, which is 1 out of 1,000 human beings has been confirmed as a COVID-19, which is impacted by 216 countries. The good news is that the situation is getting better and better. So in the last days, actually, we have less 14,000 people decreased as confirmed cases, which is good. But the thing is that we should really pay attention. We can see that in China, in Beijing specifically, in the past 6 days, they are increased 137 new cases, which has been not disappeared for like 67 days after with lost 0 new cases in the country. Let's go through a little bit of the social impact timeline about the situation. So starting with the 3rd April, there are half of humanity actually on lockdown, which is impacting 90 countries. And then the international labor offices announced actually they are equivalent of 195 million full-time workers lost because of this kind of situation. And then we can say that the social partners actually launched the protection of the health and safety for the workers, which is in food and business, specifically during the lockdown, has been really, really important. And then, as you can see here, there are 10 million medical masks which has purchased by European Union in May, which is something new and is starting to come into this territory. And then we can see as well from the European Commission, they already encourage people starting to use the mobile applications and devices specifically for this kind of situation. And then again, we goes to at the beginning of May, European Union actually starting to preparing what would be looks like post-pandemic in Europe, putting some kind of guidance specifically for social protection to make sure the reopening of the after this post-COVID challenge will be ensuring people. And then at the beginning, middle of May as well, they launched actually guidelines and the recommendations for sure to save the tourism transport sectors, just to make sure the economy will getting better afterwards. And then we can see as well, the school actually starting to reopening after 2 to 3 months of lockdown. And then again, in the transport sector, there are some kind of guidance and obligations regarding physical distancing has to take into place as well. And the latest news is that in Europe, they are going to actually opening the X borders starting from July 1st. So basically, this is kind of a timeline giving you a little bit of the social impact about this COVID and the situation. What happened afterwards is that this kind of challenges, crisis has already changed the way of our life. how do we live, how do we work, and how do we study. So we can see that we're starting to shop more and more online to receiving delivery services. We're starting to queuing even for grocery, which is something we haven't done before. We're starting to wearing masks. It becomes more and more in European regions. We pay without touch. We work from home. We study at distance. So this is really something will be last even after the post-COVID. And then we're talking about the business because the situation, the consumer asks, the way have changed. The challenges comes to the business is that they need to today really still continue to keep social distancing to make sure the return is safe for everyone. They have to reduce the health risk to assure actually both their clients and their employees. They need to really come up new, let's say, actions, strategies, try to adopt this kind of new consumer behavior and make sure that the services continuity is ensured, the efficiency, the productivity actually will be increased. So with all of these kind of challenges, we have observed what's happening on the market. First, the different safety protocols are already deployed everywhere. At the hospitals, you have to get a screening of the temperature before you get inside. In Germany, I mean, both of the countries, we took example of Germany that they put guidance for return to work. Basically, you have to make sure that you are wearing the mask. You get your temperature checked. You actually wash your hand, clean your hand before you go to your workplaces. For the nursing homes as well, it's still closed today, but for sure, when it's opening, people will have to make sure the temperature is good. The people get inside of the nursing homes were not having a safety risk to the residents. The school as well, so temperature check, again, social distancing, again, wearing a mask. What happens in the retail environment, this is what we have observed. That today we took more as example. As you can see, you have only one entrance in most of the shopping malls here in EMEA region. You have to make in the queue before you get inside. And then you have actually different human employees putting into the entrance and exit. At entrance, basically, you got people check if you are wearing a mask to make sure you are keeping the social distancing. You have already disinfect your hands before you get into the mall. And then counting people get inside because there are only limited numbers of the shoppers which are allowed to get inside of the mall, which gives you a very temporary, very high temporary OPEX for retailers in this kind of a situation. And then with this reopening borders, for sure, there are so many travel guidelines, obligations which has to take into place. As you can see in the airport, check-in, check-out, temperature check, which is obligatory to make sure people in the very limited closed area on the airplane not getting infected with each other. And hotels, specifically in Europe, hotels, tourism are actually preparing for this reopening of the border, but they have to make sure that the guests, the tourists get into their place, their country are safe. And then last, there are different technologies to actually automation technologies are deployed during this period. Like it's really in the very acceleration speed, really to improve this digital and self-service capacities of the both consumers, employees on different sectors in the market. We observed people starting to use more and more voice activation. Like this, you can really avoid a touch with different devices between human and different digital devices. The NFC and RFID are used a lot, allowing contactless payment, allowing different access management. The sensors and IoT is used a lot, which is used actually to detect the change of the environment, and you can provide the relevant stuff with the IoT devices to make sure the productivity will be assured. The QR code and self-scanning, which is something used more and more today and in Europe region, like in Paris, in France, all of the restaurants actually today, when you go to terrace today, you have to scan actually QR code to get your menu on your mobile phone, which probably is not like a very new trend in Asian countries, but for European countries, it's really becoming very, very more and more unpopular. And computer vision, this is something used more and more as well. You use the camera actually of the computer to analyze the demographic data of the user in front of you to understand capturing the emotion of the person. Actually, use this kind of information you can create and deliver personalized content to the client, to the end user in front of the camera. And then the telepresence teleoperation, which has been used a lot as well, specifically in the field of schools, working at home, and hospitals, and as well to make sure the delivering a digital virtualized services to the client. So how can robots, specifically social robots like paper, can help in this kind of context? So with this kind of question, actually, we have worked with a third-party market study agency. We built an online community with end consumers for 2 weeks during the lockdown period. We asked them to imagine what kind of new role of paper actually as a greater in this kind of context of post-COVID-19. We have very good and dynamic conversations with different participants on this community. So we got results from them. They told us that actually paper it's really positively meet the expectations in terms of grading experience. First, when we're talking about look and feel, they were mostly like paper is appealing. Those are some quotation from our participants on the online community. Actually gives you a little bit idea of how verbally they are thinking about paper is appealing, give them this kind of with design of the robot. In terms of the functionality, they say paper actually is encouraging with compare with different digital devices or self-services kiosks on the market. They feel like this kind of humanoid shaped robot actually more active, more motivating them to understand better what kind of services can provide by paper. And second, and last is about the images. Images here actually is talking about the image of the brand, the image of the company, because they feel like if you put in the humanoid robot like paper, actually is enhancing the image of the company in terms of innovative, in terms of as well, they feel like taking care, they feel like they got taken care by the brand of the company. So which is very good in terms of the image of the company as well. So basically, this is about the first impression in terms of the expectations of the grading experience. And then again, about the post-COVID, they say that paper naturally fits in this kind of health recommendations and guidelines, which is related to the current COVID situation. They say paper actually is a positive, innovative answer to health issue in today's context. It's a very, very good preventive reminder to saying naturally, even the robot wearing the mask and giving you a advice, giving you guidance on how should you provide yourself the best protection in terms of the safety risk, as well can help you remind you again, guarantee the social distancing. Really helps to recall the guidance and recommendation. As you can see, one quotation from our participant mentioned that it assures health safety and says it's a very innovative idea to make sure the social distancing measure, which will be taking to place better, optimize actually the reception experience in the companies. So basically, this is a summary actually coming from our participant about paper in the post-COVID situation, about how and why. I'm going to hand it to Jonathan. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So as you may have seen, but we are here talking about how paper generally can help businesses. Just so you know as well, we will be focusing on specific industries in the next series of webinars. Right now, what we want to share with you is how paper can help address the new challenges that Sunny has been sharing with you and that the world is facing today as a world evolving in these uncertain times of well, some countries are now nearly fully out of COVID, but there might be a second wave. So all these challenges are creating new expectations, as you have seen, and Pepper is the right ideal platform for that, thanks to the design of the robot and all the capabilities of interaction that Pepper has, so that we can actually create a valuable engagement and proactive and emotional as well. We will see how this plays into COVID. I mean, it's really important that Pepper can be proactive to support a vocal interaction through emotional also interactions to help reduce people's stress. Uh, Pepper comes with a wide range of capabilities that we provide and that we provided before the COVID situation and we still provide, which is detecting people, detecting objects, and enabling to connect with them and to interact with them. Pepper is an open platform that can connect to a lot of devices around it and also through animation and body language deliver key messages. And one example that you will see later is that Pepper has actually been very useful in explaining to the public what measures to put in place in the COVID situation. And we'll look a bit that into detail. So just a reminder, I mean, these are the challenges that we've identified right now on the market and from businesses that we have to address and where Pepper can actually be very efficient in addressing that, from keeping the social distancing that is still prevalent everywhere to ensuring service and a continuity of service in businesses that are reopening and where people is now well, there's a lot of people in stores and a lot of areas around the globe. So that's where the robots will be able to help. So just to give you a bit of insights and vision about where the robot can help in securing, for example, the interaction. It's obviously we're talking about robot to human interaction. That means that we are, by using a robot, avoiding creating risky human contacts, and we can promote social distancing through the robot, which has been very valuable so far. It's also a question of risk and ensuring that the experience is safe for everyone, both the customer or both the visitor and the staff of the business. And by connecting to the environment, by delivering a fully integrated experience, that the robot can actually help deliver the same service that you as a business want to deliver to visitors and customers, but through a robot that actually is a safe way of interacting. We also have, obviously, we're talking about an ideal and optimal way of engaging by being personal, by being adaptable with the person that the robot is engaging, and obviously adding value to that. And one of the really important points there is how can Pepper and how can robots ensure that there's business and service delivered continuously, efficiently, and in conjunction with the human staff, meaning that it's not just a robot on its own, it's how the robot and the staff can work together to deliver the service in a consistent way. Just a few ideas, and you will be able to see later on how that plays and translates onto the field. But today we've seen many large use cases where the robot has been valuable. We've seen a lot of areas where the robot, when the businesses were open, has been informing the public about the health guidelines. And we know that they change from every country. They've been evolving according to the period where we are in the crisis. So informing and educating the public in an environment is extremely important. A key factor and a key benefit of using Pepper as well is helping reduce stress and reassure the public on the fact that now it's being safer as well to shop, to visit a place, but also helping, accompany the people who are under stress in hospitals, in care homes. We're talking also about a challenge that is going to grow only more and more as business reopen, which is managing the people flow, managing all the people that are coming in a store. Right now, there are lines that are being created in stores that are creating challenges for the staff, that are creating stress for the staff, and that the robot can help take over and manage to make sure that the staff can actually focus on the safe interaction and that it's actually the most valuable interaction that is delivered by the staff. And obviously that helps. We know that businesses right now, they cannot fully staff all their environments, and people are going to come back quickly, and robots are going to help there to offload some of the tasks that the staff has to be done, which puts them at risk. There's two things that we want to share with you at this stage. It's during the lockdown, during the last 3 months, we've had robots serving customers and visitors in a lot of environments and helping them remaining open, helping them promoting safe services, and that's been critical. But there are new challenges arising. So we know that the robot can help when there is a sanitary crisis, but now it's how can we adapt to this new paradigm and these new challenges with robots. And there's going to be a lot of areas that open very quickly all around the globe where robots are actually going to be able to help, and Pepper will be critical for that. If we look at which areas Pepper will be able to help, obviously it's quite broad because we're talking about areas where there is public, where there is information to be delivered, where there is services to be done. But some of the key sectors where Pepper will be useful is retail and hospitals, which is already where Pepper has been used during the COVID situation, because those businesses were still open and open with a lot of challenges. But we're going to see more and more malls and airports projects, typically areas of transportation. Hotels are reopening as well, and that's going to be really efficient for the robot to deliver, well, robot to human interaction in the safest way possible. We want to give you an overview of where Pepper has been able to help so far. We have, as I mentioned, several environments where the robot has been deployed consistently. You might have seen some of them, but we want to share a bit more with you about what the experience has been with that so far and how we can help. We first of all deployed a very interesting project in a German retailer, which is Edeka Stocker, which is a grocery retailer in Germany. And the retailer had the main challenge that people at the beginning of the pandemic were panic buying and buying products in a rush. You know, we've all seen the toilet paper shortages and all that. And that's been something really critical. The staff of Edeka was under a lot of pressure to try to explain to people that no, there is no shortage, no, there is no need to buy products in bulk. And the robot has been critical for that. We've been welcoming people in the store. We've been helping inform about the health situation, about the guidelines and how they evolved. And we've obviously been able to prevent this bulk and fear-based purchase. And all that has been developed and implemented with our partner. We have software partners who help us deliver these projects. And it's thanks also to their development that we've been able to address this project. We now have 5 robots deployed in Edeka stores, and we are looking at deploying more and more. And as stores reopen and store traffic increases, we will see more and more robots in retail as well. So we've also seen a lot of healthcare projects. Obviously, hospitals and nursing homes have been under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress during the COVID situation, during the last 3 months, both the staff and the patients. And that's where robots like Pepper, I mean, not only Pepper, of course, but Pepper has been very important and a very useful platform to help reassure patients, explain patients about the situation. So this project is in a French hospital in Paris, where we've deployed 3 robots to do telepresence, telecommunication services between the families and patients in the intensive care units. We actually learned a lot from that as well, because as you can imagine, an intensive care unit is a very, very stressful environment for everyone, where people are constantly under pressure. But it's been very valuable for the patient specifically because it's helped keep social contact when no one could visit someone in the ICU unit. And that has been also great for the staff. The staff have been really interested in seeing the impact that the robot has on the patient, and that's been really useful. We've also seen some key benefits of using the robot for elderly people that are suffering from stress, not necessarily from the disease, but from being in the environment related to the disease. And we know today that our elderly people in care homes have been under a lot of stress and a lot of worries, and robots are also here to help in reducing that stress and worries. Another retailer where Pepper has been deployed is Alpha Beta in Greece. Alpha Beta is a grocery retailer as well, and it's a customer where the robots were deployed before COVID to do greeting and promoting products, and the robots have been repurposed for COVID because obviously Alpha Beta has seen the value in changing and in adapting the messages that they deliver to their customers through the robot to make sure that they can reassure their customers when they come and when they wait in line that they can be educated. And obviously that's a key priority for them. So we've delivered that project with our partner Mobile Technology in Greece, and that's a project that's actually continuing. We're seeing new use cases and new needs appear. So we started off from informing and preventing, and now we have more and more retail and safe retail use cases appearing that we're working on with that customer and partner. Another project that is interesting, it's a project with the UZ Brussels Hospital that is implemented together. It's a partnership between a university in Brussels and a partner of ours that is Zorabots in Belgium. and it's a really interesting project as well because I mean, so the robot is here greeting and checking in patients. So it's not only just helping reduce the service, the stress, it's also delivering that service in the hospital. And obviously, there are also telecommunications. So we also have that telepresence feature in that through, in this case, Facebook Messenger. And that's really valuable because patients and their families can remain connected. So here we are seeing Pepper has already been deployed and been very useful in the COVID situation, but we know that most businesses where Pepper is used generally have not been open. I mean, we are only talking mainly about hospitals, care homes, and retailers. Now, a lot of offices are reopening, a lot of airports, and that's creating new challenges. That's creating new expectations and new services that we have to deliver. So what we want to, in this introductory webinar, what we want to share with you is what is going to happen now and how we can work together with customers, with partners, with the whole ecosystem on making sure that we answer the changing needs, because maybe in 3 months the needs also related to the COVID situation will be different if there is a second wave or if there isn't. So we just wanted to emphasize that we have a global reach as SoftBank Robotics, and we have 150 partners that work overall, and we're working with them to answer those needs and to implement solutions to match that. So it's really key today in our strategy to have the robot answer COVID needs. It's to work together with partners, with a variety of companies to create the value and the services that are going to emerge and that have emerged today. But if we want, what we would like you to remind in this webinar is that there are new expectations, and you have your own new expectations and your own new challenges to address in your businesses, and we need to implement new ways to collaborate to implement these challenges. Our partners are a key way for us to answer these services with their solutions, with their development capabilities, and also their local reach. I mean, we cannot be everywhere geographically present, especially because traveling right now is difficult. So it's key for us to have that local approach with our partners to help answer your needs. And also something, sorry, just on the last slide, we know also that the COVID situation has taken a big hit on businesses financially. It's been, I mean, a lot of people have been without work. A lot of businesses have not had any revenue in the last 3 months. And so we also want to answer that with a specific business model to make sure that customers who don't have the budget to be able to buy and purchase the robot can actually acquire a robot with a more flexible business model. We're looking at rental, and together with our partners at supporting those projects as well, so that robots can increase the help that they can provide in the post-COVID situation. And we really would need and would like you to share with us if you see new ways of collaboration, if you have needs that you need us to answer together with our partners, how you see the market evolving and your specific business evolving, so that we can also adapt. I mean, today we are all together in this uncertainty, whether how the effects of COVID will last, but we know that there are effects that we can address now and will address in the future. But if you have specific needs that have arisen from COVID, please share them with us so we can actually help answer them together with our products. So just as final words for this introductory webinar, this is really, I would like to emphasize that it's the beginning of a webinar series where we will focus at each industry requirements and specific challenges from customers that we have addressed and that we want to address, or customers want us to address. So we'll be talking more about, for example, in retail, in tourism, in transportation, how robots need to help and how businesses are impacted. So we'll obviously go a bit more into detail in these webinars, but please at this stage, so we can also help answer your needs, please share with us how you see the robots and how you see your business being transformed in this post-COVID situation, so we can deliver you the most valuable service. So we'll now go to a Q&A session. Mm-hmm. There has been a few questions that have been asked. So
yeah, I got the first one, which is it possible to check human body temperature with Pepper? I need you to answer that.
Yeah. So today, Pepper doesn't have a thermal camera, but we have a lot of projects that are starting where Pepper communicates with a thermal camera that is external. We're also studying how we could maybe integrate a thermal camera on Pepper, but it is a complex thing to do. So right now, to go quicker and to serve and help the businesses in the fastest way, we're going actually to communicate with the camera, and we have a project developed by one of our partners in Poland that is implementing that, and we have a lot of partners who are now implementing cases where actually Pepper communicates with the thermal camera to measure people's temperatures without necessarily having the camera being carried by the robot.
I got another one, which is, what is the power consumption of Pepper on daily basis?
I don't have that on the top of my head. I can tell you that Pepper can operate for 12 hours in a row, but that's not the question. Maybe if you want, we can share with you that answer, but I don't have the watt power base here, so I will share it with you.
Okay, there's another one. Do you think that if robots reduce or even eliminate the stress of the logistics of life, we can focus on things like keeping the human interaction where it matters? I probably can answer this one. So as Jonathan mentioned earlier, actually, we saw already this kind of stressful situation, which is not only just by COVID-19 in daily lives, actually. So the robot actually can take this kind of repetitive task, make sure like the interaction between human will become more qualitative. So you don't need to do this kind of administrative tasks, which can be done just by a robot in an automation way. And then for sure, if we're talking about healthcare sector, we are more talking about how the robot, actually the present robot, can reduce the stress, the depression for the elderly and for the families as well. And if we're talking about maybe not just only because here is robots, so we have another robot. I saw another question about, could you talk about now? Probably now as well. Actually, it's used a lot for the children with autism issues. Actually, we saw a big advance and big actual benefits for those kind of children. So yeah, for sure, the robot can reduce the stress and then making the human keeping on interactions, which matters.
Yeah. Maybe I can answer the next two questions, which is the first: how can Pepper understand the human language in an environment, in a realistic environment, and how many languages Pepper speaks? So today we have capabilities for Pepper to understand basically 23 languages. Speak and understand 23 languages. What we have and how we enhance that, because obviously we're talking about Siri-like applications, is implementing chatbots, implementing software solutions with our partners that are actually enhancing that and making sure that the conversation and the range of conversation that Pepper can deliver is actually quite broader. There is also another question related to that on whether we are working on a new version of Pepper to improve the way that Pepper can interact in an environment where there's a lot of people. We're not necessarily working on that on the hardware side, but we have a software development, we have improvements in Pepper that are already here, where we can manage multiple people in an interaction and where we are optimizing the way that Pepper detects people and can understand people. So there's a lot of improvements that are already here, and we need to carry on. And we know that robots, when there's a lot of people around speaking at the same time, it can always be a challenge. So we need to improve that, but we've already brought a lot of new features for that.
Yeah, I see that another question could be interesting. We are interested in Iceland to test the Pepper robot. What is the best way to proceed? As you mentioned earlier, Jonathan, about this new business model that you are considering today. Maybe this is a question that you can give a better answer.
Absolutely, and we will need to discuss. So feel free to reach out to us. Maybe we will come back to you as well on that to see how we can implement a project in Iceland. But of course, there's a lot of projects that we can do with Pepper, and we should clearly discuss what the needs are and how we can help on that. On similar types of questions, which is more other projects in the Netherlands. So today we have a lot of projects in the Netherlands that we implemented before the coronavirus, and we now have several nursing homes using Pepper in the Netherlands to reduce stress and to support staff. with a company that provides services to nursing homes. So we have a partnership with them. The robots have been deployed 2 weeks ago, so it's a bit early to give you more concrete feedback on that, but it's one of the points that we will do is focus on healthcare in one of the next webinars, and we will address the results of that project. So there are a lot of projects. We also have a lot of projects where our customers that are using Pepper today are reopening and that are also adapting what they are doing with Pepper to adjust to the new coronavirus situation.
Yeah, and there's another one for you, I think, Jonathan, is about leasing and renting Pepper for clients who are interested, but not yet to invest a lot.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we were discussing. Is we are working on a more flexible OPEX-based business model, so that especially in the post-COVID situation, we can help clients adopt Pepper in a simpler way when we know investment budgets are limited. So if you're interested specifically in that, we will reach out to you to share the details about that, and we will be doing that with our ecosystem of partners, of course. So we can build the best commercial and business model to help you in your projects.
Yeah, I said another question is about, do you have any references sites, projects in Thailand or APAC? So basically, we actually have offices in China who is taking off all of the project involving Great China and APAC region. So actually, if this person who posed this question can contact maybe Jonathan directly, we can refer you to our SPRC office.
Yeah, for sure. Someone is asking about project experience in the hospitality industry. I mean, there are two things in hospitality that can be understood. There's hospitality in companies and hospitality in hotels. We have experience in both, actually. So we have Pepper being used a lot as a receptionist in offices, and now that offices are reopening, a lot of the needs and expectations from our customers is also going to be, how can we help the staff adopt the social distancing measures that we need to implement in our offices? And on the second side, it's hotels as well. And in hotels, we have receptionists and concierge-based applications as well, where also we can see the robot through vocal engagement, through mobility, through things like that, provide a valuable service. We can share with you if you want some references of that. Obviously, in hotels right now, because hotels have been closed, we are restarting to deploy Peppers there, but it is still a bit early. In most of the countries, especially in Europe, hotels are not yet open.
Yeah. Could you brief us about how artificial intelligence has been applied in Pepper? I think there was a slide presented by Jonathan earlier. Actually, shows give you quite good view about how different part of Pepper with functionality. Just see if I can got this slide. Or you want to go ahead with this answer, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, in AI, we have different things. We have what the robot has as capabilities. So, for example, everything that involves detecting and seeing people requires a lot of algorithms and machine learning in that, which is how can the robot know and use that knowledge that someone is standing in front of the robot and deliver the best experience to match that. There's also a lot of AI-based systems that are built and integrated by our partners, which involve, for example, voice bots, software robots, and cognitive systems that basically we can apply and we can translate onto the robot to deliver the best experience. So we communicate with the basically with external services. I see someone asking about the business model that we were saying. We will be supporting both commercials, purchase-based or selling-based business model. That is our business model today, and rental as well. And today, we have we've been doing sales through distributors, and we will be supporting that through distributors as well.
Yeah, I sent another question. Is anyone doing virtual training for machine learning at the moment with Pepper? Moving around, navigating, grasping. So Jonathan has mentioned earlier about our partner ecosystem. So basically, we do this kind of training for our partners. So basically, using this robotic platform and tell them all of the new actually services, the APIs, and coming from our team. And then, yes, we do provide this kind of training, but dedicated for partners only at this moment.
I see someone asking about data protection and data privacy in hospitals, which is actually a really interesting question. Just so you know, so Pepper as a robot by design is GDPR compliant. So that means that we do not store personal data on the robot. We do have, however, in hospitals situations where we are linking with systems that manage patient data, but it's not managed by the robot. It's usually managed by a web or cloud-based service that obviously the best practice is that that system is compliant, and our partners are the ones implementing the applications that communicate with these systems. We are obviously very sensitive about patient data in hospitals. It's something that is obviously very protected, and we want it to remain like that. So our strategy, and we design our robots that the robot itself doesn't deal with the data, that it's a service that often is already in place at the hospital that manages that, so that it's already compliant.
Yeah, I see that. How is Pepper's applicability compromised by poor availability of internet? This is a very good question, because the connection is not very good everywhere. For sure, when you have good connection, the performance of the robot will be getting better. But the robot can be running and operated in local, which means when there is no internet, the robot still can be performed. You want to add something on that, Jonathan?
I think that that's really important. We know that we have a lot of environments where our robots are deployed, and the quality of the connectivity is very variable. So we need to make sure that the robot can operate both connected and offline. Obviously, we have services that we cannot deliver when we are offline, but when we have the combination of the two, that's where we maximize the value.
Probably skip the last question. And,
one question asking if Pepper can interact unattended. The answer is yes, absolutely. That's the whole point, is that Pepper can deliver the services without supervision. And we also have ways to monitor if for example, someone wants something else from the robot that the robot cannot deliver, and that we can pass it on to the staff afterwards. But the staff doesn't have to be with the robot, so it doesn't have to be supervised.
Okay, so just before we finish the webinar, we're just gonna show you a video of different use cases of Pepper has been deployed in the last few months. And then if you have got any questions, do not hesitate to getting back to us, to Jonathan and to the whole team, and we will be there answering the questions and for the further collaboration as well. So I think that's it from our side. Yeah.
Your temperature is good. N'oubliez pas votre masque. Irashaimase. Please remember to wear your mask. Please remember to keep your distance.
All right.
Okay.
I know we haven't been able to answer all your questions. There's been a lot of them, but if you want, we can address them specifically. There was one last question, just so you know, that I would like to answer, is if Pepper and now are able to recognize people wearing masks. And it's something that we are working on, both on how the robot can engage with someone that is wearing a mask, but we also have partners and people in our ecosystem working on the fact that the robot can know if someone has a mask or doesn't have a mask. So it's not something that is yet available on the field, but that we're working on very actively.
Yeah, just maybe adding one last comment. As you mentioned earlier, Jonathan, we are going to have a series different webinar which is coming. So based on different features of robot, different verticals pain point, how the robot should be used for a specific vertical, together with our partners, and we will give you more detailed answer and afterwards. So thank you everyone for the first webinar.
So thank you guys. We hope this was useful and that you've learned things and that it's helped you see how Pepper can help. And we look forward to showing you more and more specifically based on different customer and industry challenges, how we can address that.
Yeah.
And stay safe, of course.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.